Hey everyone, it's your boy Seraphim here, and today we're going to be discussing how many more flashbacks are left in One Piece. We all know the Kuma backstory is currently airing in the anime, probably the most tragic backstory of any character so far in One Piece, and it only lasted 10 chapters. One Piece is over 1,000 chapters long, with many of it consisting of backstories from main characters, side characters, that one random flashback from Senior Pink that made us all cry. To this day, if that flashback flopped, we all be probably wondering why this random villain that Frankie is fighting got 3 chapters worth of backstory. Like, why do I even need to know that? Oda, not everyone needs a backstory, okay? I'm joking, I love Oda. By the way, Oda, can we have 20 chapters worth of Foxy backstory? You know, just 20 chapters, nothing, you can go on a 20-month break after that. I don't really care. Just give me a Foxy backstory. Now that we're entering One Piece final saga, pretty sure we're not gonna get those random backstories anymore. Oda's trying to keep it more simple now. Looking at the Kuma backstory as a reference, I think Oda's back with those classic One Piece backstory format where it's quick, it's precise, and it's sad, and most importantly, answers a lot of our questions. So I'm gonna give out some characters that I'm pretty sure we're gonna get backstory of before the end of One Piece, starting off with Shanks' backstory, and it's gonna be about what happened to him when he returned to Marichua. Because Shamrock already revealed to us that Shanks returned to the Holy Land, saw how the Celestial Dragons act, and he was like, I want none of that. Again, the synopsis of it doesn't really make sense, because how can Shanks just stroll in like that and proclaim himself as a Celestial Dragon and just get accepted back? That doesn't really make sense with how we know the Celestial Dragons operate. Doflamingo knows, like, he wanted to come back. It's weird, but once you consider that Garling is a current God Knight, it kind of makes the theory a bit more sense, because when Doflamingo tried to come back, his family already gave up the title of Celestial Dragon, but with Shanks' Poppy, he is literally the commander of the God's Knights. So I'm pretty sure the Celestial Dragons will be like, oh, we'll just let him off. We're not gonna question Garling, okay? Everybody loves Garling. So once Shanks came to him, Garling probably gave him access to life in the Holy Land. And before this goes way out of hand, I don't think they would have known Shanks was a former member of the Roger Pirates, right? Because they didn't know Buggy was either. Because they didn't really do anything significant. I'm pretty sure Roger took all that attention from them. Garling can also point to the fact that he could just say Roger stole his kid. Yeah, basically, Roger's a kidnapper that stole Garling's kid. And would other Celestial Dragons like, oh, this enemy of ours stole one of us? Because would you really question the motivation of Garling, the supreme commander of the God's Knights, the one who protected you all these years? Probably not, right? Maybe Shanks get trained to be a God Knight, and he learns about Imu. He learns about various things like the Will of D, the One Piece, the Joy Boy, and he learns why Roger gave himself up. And he cries, he learned what Roger learned in Laugh Tale. Maybe he's too late, maybe he's too early to stop whatever is happening. Because people already said that Shanks is the most important character at the end of the One Piece saga. So I'm pretty sure he would already know about Imu. Like, no way Shanks doesn't know about Imu already, okay? Because if he knew about Imu, that would explain a lot of things, like why he was after the Gabu Gabu no Mi. He knew what the fruit was. He knew that it was the key to free the One Piece world. So maybe after that he leaves the God's Knight, he tries to find it, but he learns that he's not the chosen one. He doesn't have the Will of D. Roger may have chosen him, but fate didn't, because Roger might have said to Shanks that you're not him. I chose wrong. You're not the one to go after the One Piece. You're not the one to change the world. This might be what Roger told Shanks. That could explain a lot of things, like why he didn't go after it at the time. That's what changed his mind. He knew it wasn't for him. He knew it was not his era to rule. Maybe Roger even said, find the Gamu Gamu no Mi and give it to my son. That's why he was in Dawn Island, to give the fruit to Ace. Because that's where Ace lives. But when he met Luffy, things changed, He actually found the chosen one. He was like, man, Roger, I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about your son. I will give this fruit to the next pirate era. He bet it. That's what he said. That's why he gave him his hat and promised to give it back once he becomes a great pirate. He gave up his arm for the new era. Because how can you explain, explain to me why Shanks was after the Gamu Gamu no Mi, and why was he in Fuchsia Village? Just tell me. Just tell me. He had to know about Imu. He had to know about the Will of D. He knew it wasn't for him. He was about to give it to Ace, but Ace is a rat. But when he met Luffy, he was like, I'm gonna give this guy the most important chance of a lifetime. I don't know what I just said. but it might be important. It might be a good quote. Now, the second character I have on the list, who is generating a lot of steam right now in the latest chapters, is Monkey D. Dragon. And I couldn't really find a good backstory to tell about Dragon that fits with the little we know about him. He was a former Marine officer. And isn't it strange that he was the same age range as all the other admirals? And is exactly the same age as the current fleet admiral Akainu. Coincidence? Because imagine they were all rookies, they were all friends, climbed through the ranks together like Helmeppo and Kobe. But because of the connection with the Marines, with the world government, perhaps what he saw them do was enough for him to fully quit on the Marines. Because we know each admiral has this kind of justice, like, oh, lazy justice, absolute justice, unclear justice. Dragon might be true justice, okay? Because as he fight not against, the pirates or the Marines, but by the corruption of the world government, the Celestial Dragons, he fights for that. Because remember that theory that all the other admirals is a Chinese zodiac? I'm just saying, Dragon fits really well into it, okay? But really, what's very interesting to me is that what made him disregard his own father? What made him disregard his own Marines? Because he's not emo. He just found out emo very recently. Not everything is about emo, okay? Is it when Luffy was born? The whole perspective change. You have a son. You saw what the Celestial Dragons do to like child slaves, all that stuff. The hunting party back in the days. Maybe he learned to value life. Maybe Luffy's mom is gonna be important finally. Who knows? But only when Ohara happened, he saw his two former companions, Akainu and Kuzan, and the entire Marines completely destroyed an entire island and its inhabitants just because they were researching something the world government doesn't want you to know. Then after that, Roger's execution, Dragon was there. He saw pirates and the Marines being controlled by the world government, and he didn't like that. Okay, he returned to Ohara. That's where we saw Vegapunk, and he started saying like, oh, I want to start my own freedom fighters. All the Revolutionary Army. Then after he established the Revolutionary, he says the famous line that everyone is, looking forward to: my work here is done. And he disappears, sits in a toilet or something, gets his own, all the allies get arrested, and he has not done anything significant for the next 20 years. You're the Revolutionary Army. You didn't even save Alabasta. You didn't even save Dressrosa. What did you guys do? You're cutting food. Now the third character on the list, which is my favorite character of all time, is Blackbeard. And this might be the most strayest shot, strayest theory. Like, it won't even hit the target. It will miss and just hit some, John F. Kennedy. So my theory can be completely off. But again, Blackbeard is one of the most mysterious characters in the series. We know next to nothing about him. So I'm just gonna shoot my shot. There is one connection we know, and it's by Rox D. Sibek. Right now, there are too many coincidences to just say like, oh, it's just coincidence. It's a goddamn pattern now. Blackbeard's pirate ship is named Sibek. Blackbeard rules an island previously ruled by Sibek. So it really doesn't matter if he's the son of Rox or he's an admirer of Rox. Maybe in the One Piece world, usually connections is more stronger than blood connections. But we know the backstory is gonna tell us all about all the questions we have about Blackbeard. His backstory, why he can't sleep at night, his obsession with the Yami Yami no Mi at the start. How did he eat 2 devil fruits, okay? And maybe it will skip ahead to where he kills Tatch. The formation of his crew, was it before or after? I really don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like before. He's planning it over the years, and he was like, oh, I got the Yami Yami no Mi. Everyone comes, stronger comes, all that stuff. So I think his backstory will probably follow the format of Luffy, because sooner or later, we'll probably get a Blackbeard on-screen fight, right? Right? Are we just waiting at the end of the One Piece saga? And lastly, which might be the longest flashbacks in all of One Piece, probably longer than Odin's backstory. 30 chapters at least. Joy Boy, Emu, Void Century. Everything that happened, all in one. The Will of D, Ancient Weapons, Pluton, Mother Flame. Oh, bro, will be answered in the Void Century flashback. Void Century flashback. Oh my, it just sounds so good off the tongue, right? Void Century flashback. Oh my god, it's been so long. 8 years, bro. Void Century flashback. It's probably gonna be like the longest backstory of all of One Piece. We're probably never gonna see like a Luffy like for 80 chapters or something like that. It's probably its own arc. Void Century flashback. Joy Boy is probably wearing an eye patch. Emu. Neftali Lily? Who knows, man? Thanks for watching. I love you guys. Real one, say it back.